I feel like I'm of the boat where, like, let your imperfections shine through a little bit, you know? For some reason, I just couldn't master delayed gratification when it came to my career. We really live in a day and age in which applying online doesn't matter anymore. Hello! Welcome to another day of Vlogmas. Another day, another coffee. And today I poured a rosetta that I'm actually quite proud of because it's my first time pouring rosetta and it doesn't look half bad. Go ahead and grab a nice hot drink, a tea or a coffee, and today we're gonna do a get ready with me while we talk about being stuck in our careers. I'm really excited to go for the I'm cold makeup look. I'm gonna be going climbing later. Let's go ahead and get right into it. I'm gonna go ahead and start with skin prep. Just gonna start with this moisturizer from Tatcha. I received this as part of Allure's beauty box. Just something to help soften your skin a little. I realized I didn't have my contacts in, so I'm gonna do that first. I'm gonna put on some Laneige lip sleeping mask so that my lips aren't super dry at the end of this. For skin, I like to use this cushion. I use this pretty much anytime I'm doing my makeup, the Jungseum Cushion Foundation. And I really focus it on areas where I have blemishes, so I don't do it all over my face. I do some under my eyes, and anywhere that I have a bit of redness, like around my nose. I'm not too particular with skin prep. I don't have a lot of steps. Like, this foundation doesn't really need to be set. It stays on pretty well, and I just don't want a lot of layers or a lot of heaviness. Like, I feel like I'm of the boat where, like, let your imperfections shine through a little bit, you know? Your skin doesn't have to be perfect. Mostly the parts of makeup that are interesting to me are the parts that are a bit more expressive in nature, so like a lot of nice colors. Yeah, I'm kind of more of a blush and lip girly. Alright, let's move on to eyebrows. I mostly just fill in the ends because there's some sparseness, but I feel like I'm blessed with pretty good eyebrows. Now for blush, I'm using the e.l.f. Sheer Tint, and I'm just gonna start layering this on. I actually want lots of blush so that it seems like I'm cold, and I want it to feel natural, so I'm gonna have to blend it out at every step. Just gonna keep layering this on. So while I do this, let's talk about being stuck in your 20s, because I feel like I'm quite familiar with this, but I also feel like a lot of you can relate to this. I grew up in an environment in which people were pretty competitive and high achieving in school. And then I went to Berkeley, which is a university that has a lot of really incredible people, very smart, doing a lot of amazing things, both on the undergraduate and graduate side. So I feel like I was always surrounded by people who are very driven, and my parents always taught me to pick who I surround myself with so that I am with people who are very driven. That being said, I feel like most people after college were funneled into either working in tech or in business, especially here in the Bay Area. And as you probably know from looking around at my channel, like, I wanted to do something a bit more artistic, something that aligned a bit more with my personality, which is that I really like to connect with people and think deeply about things like emotions and feelings, purpose, and values. I even applied to Berkeley as a political science major because I felt like that type of role aligned very well with the qualities that I just mentioned. But at the same time, growing up, my hobbies were very artistic in nature. I really liked to paint and go to art class. I liked making little short videos for like classes and stuff, and I liked experimenting with makeup. I was also very involved in speech and debate in high school. So that just gives you some background that I always had it in mind that I wanted to have a dream career and make steps toward that. And even as I graduated college, people were telling me like the first few years out of college just generally suck for everyone. My sister was saying that those were kind of the worst years for her. Even like professors I talked to in the theater department were saying like, yeah, the first few years after you graduate school, you're kind of like lost because you're trying to figure out what's next. And the advice I got from my acting professor was not to put pressure on yourself to be like living your best life immediately. So that painted kind of an unexciting picture. It sounded like most people struggled immediately after college. But then I became class of 2020. I was actually supposed to be class of 2021, and I graduated a semester early due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I started a remote job, basically scrambled to find something more related to my major, something that I could do remote work for some time and just like gain work experience. And I've worked at that job ever since, so it's been almost 5 years now that I've been working at a management consulting firm. Very different from what I thought I would be doing. Okay, I've added quite a lot of blush. It looks even more intense in person than I would say it does on camera. But I'm gonna like go ahead and start adding a highlighter. I have the Jelly Pop Glow Stick from e.l.f. So I already had an expectation that my early 20s would not be fun, but I don't think I expected how stuck I would feel in a career that didn't align with what I had initially envisioned. And don't get me wrong, like I really appreciate my job and it has been a really good experience overall for me. I don't regret taking the job and plunging into a pretty intense, colorful career. But I think where I felt stuck was not knowing what my paths were. I had an idea of going to grad school, which if you'd seen a couple of videos ago, I talked about my entire journey going to MFA auditions. So when that didn't pan out, I felt pretty disappointed. Well, throughout this whole experience, I've come to realize that the biggest part of feeling stuck is feeling like your actions don't matter. Like we all have willpower, right? We can all get up and decide whether we want to spend our time doom scrolling and engaging in behaviors that are more hedonistic in nature. So like I could get up and try to focus on areas of my life that bring me pleasure but don't necessarily bring me purpose. And the thing that makes me feel so frustrated and stuck is when I want to make actions or make progress toward something that's more meaningful in nature, but it doesn't feel like any of it's enough. Like I could go to the gym today, but the gym won't fix me. Or I could try to talk with some people about potential career paths and do some exploratory informational interviews, but that won't actually give me a job. Sometimes it feels like the amount of effort required for something is like far outweighing the amount of discomfort that brings, just because of how difficult it can be to find like the right next steps to make progress towards something, and you don't feel that progress immediately, right? Think of the kid experiment with the marshmallows, where a bunch of kids were given marshmallows and told if you can sit still and not eat your marshmallow for another 10 minutes, we'll hand you another one. And the kids who were handed another one tended to be more successful later in life. I don't know on which metrics off the top of my head, but this is a pretty well-known psych study that illustrates the power of delayed gratification. Well, I felt like for some reason I just couldn't master delayed gratification when it came to my career. And it's felt like that for the last 5 or so years, which can be really frustrating when you're like a 20-something and you're just trying to figure out your adulthood. I don't have all the answers, but it does start with lowering the bar. You can't expect yourself to go from 0 to 100 in a matter of a day, a couple hours, but what we can do is just recognize the power of small wins. If you guys have read Atomic Habits, you'll know where I'm coming from on this one. It doesn't often feel like enough just to show up, but you can't make progress if you're not showing up. For my eyes, I'm gonna do some shimmery white shadow to kind of give it like a snow feeling. I have this cream shadow palette, which is way old, from e.l.f. And then I'm gonna layer on top some powder shadows. I'm finding that so much of making the small wins count is really in romanticizing your life and in your routine. We may not be able to control what happens between work hours, for instance, but we can control our morning routine, our evenings, and any free time that we get on the weekends. And then the more that we see progress through the daily routines, the more we build confidence in our own abilities to create change in our lives in a meaningful way. If there were one piece of advice that I would give to my younger self who was navigating the post-grad period, it would have been to reach out and talk to as many people as I could. I don't think I fully saw the value of relationships in both career and personal, and the fact that they are truly your most valuable asset until much later. I also feel like there's so much pressure in a career to accomplish a lot of these different things. So it could be like your status. You get status through whatever your role is. It could be your sense of accomplishment when it comes to a specific skill set, or it could even just be like the monetary value that you get from your job and the security that you get. I think everyone struggles to find some balance, and there are true trade-offs at play if you want to be able to achieve one of these things. Everyone dreams of having a job that can accomplish all these things and more, like having a community at work that's meaningful, doing work that's just truly engaging. I just feel like there's so many factors at play here, and I would also say get to know yourself, get to the root of what matters to you, because it will help you to stop putting pressure on yourself in all of those areas. You might receive pressure from other people in your life, or feel like because somebody else is doing something that maybe you should value the same thing. But if you can really understand and start to peel away at what you want out of your life, that's what I feel like has gotten me to a place in which I'm comfortable now with the choices that I've made, and even have a sense of where I want to go next. Okay, all of that's kind of easier said, but really, like, talking to people and seeing like what people are doing that's working for them, getting advice from them, that is something I feel like I could have started to do a lot earlier, but I was scared to. I think because I saw myself being surrounded by a certain type of person who had a certain type of career, it made me think that reaching out to people would only mean that I like meet the same type of person, which is like makes not much sense. It's not like I wasn't talking to people in my company, but I think what would have really helped was getting a variety of people to talk to and understanding like how people have made their careers work for them. Alright, I've put the glitter on my eyes. Now it's time to just finish it off with some eyeliner and mascara. I think the thing I understood conceptually but didn't understand practically was that in order for a career path to exist, somebody has to be doing it and be able to survive doing it. So like, they're out there, you just gotta talk to them and ask them how they did it. Okay, I can't talk doing this, so we really live in a day and age in which applying online doesn't matter anymore. Like, that's basically the equivalent of just hurling your resume into a black hole. And I don't think I quite realized that enough until much later. Like, really just the past year. And then beyond making relationships for the purpose of getting to know different career paths and getting advice from people, I should have known this earlier, but relationships are just so important for a meaningful life. Like, honestly, I feel like I understood this more as a kid than I really do as an adult. But no matter where you are in your career, you could have so much focus for it. It's really like making good friends, having a good life partner, meeting people that you really love. None of these things are going to be replaceable by your dream career. When you're much older, people will look back, and you will look back on your first job and pretty much just laugh about what it was, or, you know, how it was. And then when you're even older and you're looking back on your life, mostly you're going to be thinking about how you did or didn't spend time with people. Like, practically nobody on their deathbed wishes that they worked more. My friend Will likes to call this learning how to have fun in your life. I think we already know how to have fun, but there's something to be said about learning how to just appreciate what you already have and using as much autonomy as you can to do more of what you love. Finishing touches now, I'm gonna seal it all in with a setting spray. All right, I'm gonna go do my hair real quick and then I'll come back and show you the final look. Here's the final look with my hair styled. Let me know what you think. Hope you enjoyed and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.